You have to understand, we thought Bobby was going to a school for the gifted.
Bobby is gifted. You should see what he can do.
Have you tried not being a mutant?
Since the discovery of their existence, mutants have been regarded with fear, suspicion, often hatred.
Drop the knives and put your hands in the air.
I can.
Are they the next link in the evolutionary chain? Or simply a new species of humanity, fighting for their share of the world?
What do you need, William? Just your authorization for a special operation, Mr. President.
We've managed to gather evidence of a mutant training facility in upstate New York.
This facility is a school.
Sure it is. Nobody really knows how many even exist, or how to find them, except you. Who are you?
I keep feeling something terrible is about to happen.
I would never let anything happen to you.
It's about to get very cold in here.
I need you to read my mind.
Sometimes the mind needs to discover things for itself.
They say you're the bad guy.
Is that what they said? What a talent you have there.
Most people will never know anything beyond what they see.
I have faith in you.
The next time you feel like showing off, don't.
I used to think you were one of a kind, Wolverine. I was wrong.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Movie Hero Network. This is another episode of Wheel of Movies number 16. And Wheel of Movies, as of tonight, is under new management.
It's a new era.
It's a new day. Yes, it is. Okay, anyways, no, that's a different show. That's Lonely Marks. We're not doing wrestling talk tonight. No, it's a new era of Wheel of Movies. Jordan Anderson has kind of passed the show just for time's sake and prep sake, along to myself and my new co-host Richie Goodacre. Richie, how's it going tonight?
Yeah, going well. Looking forward to doing the show and catching up on the movies that maybe I watched years and years ago, and catching up like for nostalgia and seeing they still hold up, and movies that might have been a blind spot, and eventually sort of getting people on and talking about, like, because all these movies are from each of our sort of lists, or the people community, so it'd be good to it's just good to talk about movies and why people like certain movies. So and I think it's a good one to start off on. So
I mean, this is a movie that definitely kind of fits in that category of, like, it was a little over 20 years ago, 2003. We've had a boatload of comic book movies since then, obviously a big bevy of them. And to kind of go back to the 2000s when they were really kind of, this is one of those movies that helped really kind of solidify comic book films as these kind of big big franchise blockbusters and whatnot, because we had Richie, the ones in the 90s, but it was kind of a different era, your era of Dick Tracy's and Rocketeers and the Phantom, and Blade is good, things like that. I mean, there's good stuff there, but Spawn, Batman and Robin,
Black Man, I don't know.
Black Man, it was a different era, so comic book movies were a little hit or miss, not a whole lot of cohesion, and I think the 2000s, I think the 2000s was, kind of the breakthrough era for comic book films, and the 2010s is kind of considered the golden era.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I mean, you had a bumpy road a bit with the 2000s, but I think like X-Men kind of put it on track. I think Daredevil got kind of, I think people go back and watch Daredevil. It's not as bad as people think let's say it. I think it's fine. But yeah, Electro, which are not great. But yeah, then like the X-Men, like okay, so what comic book movies could be, and then like it sort of opened the door for things like the MCU and all that stuff.
Well, and the Spider-Man movies as well. The same.
Oh, Spider-Man movies, yeah.
I would say the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies of the 2000s kind of got people like a little more into it. And then, yeah, like you said, there was bumpy roads with the ones that you mentioned. The Fantastic Four movies were not amazing, things like that. So, we had our ups and downs, but at the same time, I think they were kind of figuring it out and still, but still establishing those universes. So, the MCU wouldn't roll around till obviously, Iron Man in 2008. But I think movies like this and those Spider-Man movies kind of laid that groundwork,
Yeah. And it's not exactly, I feel like this movie is kind of, we're talking about this movie is not that it's pretty timely. Like we only just got like a full proper trailer for like Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's just like it's kind of fitting. We're talking about like an X-Men.
Oh, right. No, we're talking about one where they significantly expanded Hugh Jackman in particular's part from the first one. I feel like the first one, he had like his subplot, running around, being the outlaw and kind of, teaming up with Rogue a little bit, being brought into the fold. But I think they were still kind of exploring the character. And I think Hugh Jackman really kind of gets to spread his wings, so to speak, or spread his claws, in this movie and really kind of explore that character. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of fitting that we're coming around to an X-Men movie. Yeah, as everybody's still kind of talking about the X-Men universe a little bit.
Yeah.
So, just a couple of quick basic notes before we kind of really dive into the movie. We're talking about X2, obviously X-Men United. May 2nd, 2003. Like I said, just a hair over 20 years ago.
May 2nd in a couple weeks. So.
Yeah, exactly. So almost the 21st anniversary here. Budget of $115 million. I did pop out my inflation calculator, Richie, so I got some updated numbers for you. $115 million at the time, about $200 million now. So that actually tracks. For most comic book movies now are about $200 million or so, some a little more, some a little less, but that seems like a average. It was the 9th highest grossing movie of 2003, making $407 million, which translates now to about $690 million, something like that. But hey, about roughly triple its budget, so that's a hit. That's it. I can't remember. I don't think any of the X-Men movies have been billion-dollar movies, though. I think they've all been kind of a shade under for the most part.
I don't know. Like, most profitable was at Logan. No, I can't remember. I don't know what the most profitable X-Men
those are. I think the closest was probably, I'd have to look up, maybe Days of Future Past or something. I remember that one was pretty big, but I don't think they ever have. I think even that one was like 800 million or something like that. So while a sturdy and reliable franchise, maybe arguably box office wise never got to the heights of kind of the MCU. But again, I think a lot of that was the 2000s. Comic book movies weren't as trendy as they were a decade later, in the 2010s, as they say in 21 Jump Street, when Jonah Hill is like, man, I was just born too early, for the geek thing and the nerd thing. If I had been born like 10 years later, you'd be, right in there, right in the thick of it. But but I mean, they were again, still very, very good hits. Did you, let's go back in time. What was the first time you saw it? Did you see this one when it came out in 2003?
Yeah, that's right. When it came out in 2003, I made a point to because I was a big X-Men fan when I was a kid. I watched it's cool going back, because you got people uncut. I actually, because I did have Disney Plus, and then I wasn't watching it, so I let it kind of expire. But then for this, I just signed up for it again because it's just easier to get to watch.
Right, to get the movie. So, I was gonna say to maybe you popped on that X-Men '97 show, which I haven't seen.
Yeah. Then I saw X-Men and the cartoon X-Men '97 because X-Men cartoon is what I love that guy. I love that cartoon. And Wolverine was my favorite. So when the first X-Men came out, I think I watched that on my 11th birthday. I think it came out around August. I want to say it came out around August. Maybe I don't know. But so I watched that. So it sort of became. So when the sequel came out, it sort of became like appointment viewing. Up until maybe X-Men Last Stand, which. I mean, we could talk about that. It's not as great, but has good elements.
I still don't think that movie's like a trash fire or anything. I think that movie's That movie has problems, but man, does that movie move? And I think it's still entertaining, like just because there's so much going on in that movie. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so yeah, I was I think I did. I don't know if I watched it like the week it came out, but I did. I definitely did watch it in theaters, and it was something I was excited about because yeah, we didn't. It was in the era where you didn't get a comic book movie every other month or whatever. It was just like it was sort of a proper event. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and really the first big sequel, because if you think about it, I mean, we'd had like the Batman sequels in the 90s, but Spider-Man, that Raimi one had come out the year before, but we didn't have Spider-Man 2 yet. Like you said, Daredevil came out, but no sequel to that, no Fantastic Four. So I mean, this was a big deal to get a big sequel because X-Men, the original one, had been a big hit. And they went a little bit bigger and better. You can tell the effects are a little bit more updated. Hugh Jackman's a little more properly pumped up for this one than he was. You remember those pictures? If you go back and look at the original one when he's like running around
He's like,
the school, like shirtless, and he just kind of looks like Hugh Jackman, like there's no muscles. And then you fast forward to him and like the Wolverine, and he's the most shredded person in the history of mankind.
Even now, it's like the dude's in his 50s and he's fucking jacked. And
hey,
like,
he's the Jack Man.
Work? It's like that picture with what was talking about that? Ernie Hudson, like the
he's like 78 now, and he's more jacked than he's ever been.
Okay, how's it work?
Yeah, I don't know, but he looks great here. Everybody's a little more. It looks a little more stylized, a little more slick. We get some new characters and whatnot. I mean, we can kind of start getting into it. I'll mix in some kind of trivia bits kind of as we go. But it'd been a little minute. I was just going to say, I saw it opening night. I do remember opening night, watch this in a full theater. The one specific memory, Richie, I have from the opening night screening that I still remember is the sequence when they're when the guys are raiding the school, with the SWAT guys, the team. And you see Colossus for the first time and he armors up for the first time. And it's like clink, 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 clink. And then there's like a pause. And then the guys get like chucked through the wall. I remember during that pause, one guy was like, "Get him, Colossus!" And then he's thrown to the wall, and one dude was like, "Fuck yeah!" So, somebody was a big Colossus fan, so I got that little moment there. And then I remember the crowd kind of sighing, "Oh!" When a few minutes later, they're going through like the hidden door or whatever, and Colossus goes like, "I can help you," and he goes, "Help them," and we all went, "Oh!" So I mean, that's like, because that's pretty much all we get. Like that's his big moment in this movie. Obviously, you get more screen time in Last Stand, but the crowd being like, "Oh, that's it for Colossus." Damn,
that's
cool.
That's the taste.
He was cool while it lasted for the whole 20 seconds, but oh well. What are you gonna do, Daniel Cudmore? You're gigantic as well, and then we're just gonna use you for one sequence essentially. But like you said, it was interesting going back and watching this. It had been a little while since I sat down and watched it. Not that I didn't remember all the big scenes and the big beats of this movie. I mean, I did. But just remembering some of the little in-between stuff. But I mean, one of the things to talk about this movie, and we can get into it kind of right from the beginning, is the opening Nightcrawler sequence. Considered one of the better sort of opening comic book sequences. And I wanted to see if it holds up, and goddamn, it holds up. It's good shit.
Yeah, man.
That Nightcrawler sequence is a hell of a way to introduce a new character, and a character I primarily knew, not only from the the animated show, obviously, but that arcade game, because he was one of the 6 players you could pick for the arcade game, that one that was in the 90s. But you got Alan Cumming here, a newcomer, a guy who I didn't know at the time, and I kind of wonder, like, I don't know what happened to that dude. It's like we don't see him that much anymore.
I actually saw him a couple of years ago. Like me and my mom saw him in concert because he's like he's accomplished like Tony Award winning
I know he's like a Broadway guy, so that's where he came from. Yeah,
like Broadway guy. So I saw him and I saw him in concert. He was actually all right. But I think on Facebook at the time I joked, I'm going to see Nightcrawler on concert because that's what I remember. But it was fine. But I don't think I don't see him in a lot. I know he was in a few duds. Like obviously he's a son of the Mask, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
He's in Flintstones and Bigger Rock Fakers.
According to, I clicked on his Wikipedia because I had the X2 Wikipedia. He's just been a TV guy mostly, so I mean, good for him. He's still working.
I think he's in that. Is it The Good Wife? I think
The Good Wife. Yeah, he was on that for like 6 years. Hey, he was nominated for 3 Emmys for that. So I mean, good on him.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if I don't think he won, but he's been nominated, so he's doing good work. A show called Instinct, an Apple TV show called Shima Again. I don't know.
I think this goes back to the point that we made in other shows where it's like there's so much TV.
Yeah, I don't know what these are.
There's shows on streaming services probably been going for a few seasons, and like I had no idea that show existed.
No, I literally just did. Jordan sent me the list for the tier ranker that he's doing, and I made the tier ranker for him. And half the shows, I was like, I don't know what this is, and I've never heard of it. And see the posters for it, I'm like, oh, there's an actor I know who I didn't know was in a show. So all these actors. Oh, Gary Oldman's been on this show for like 3 seasons that I didn't know about. Excellent. Or this actor or that actor. But yeah, no, you get this opening sequence with Nightcrawler, and yeah, just a cool concept of this sort of. We find out later it's kind of organized by Stryker, so he can do what he needs to do to start his plan as far as just this being a big setup and Nightcrawler being controlled by him. But yeah, you get this kind of raid on the White House and this siege where he's just hopping through all the hallways, and the guys are calling, not knowing if it's multiple people because he's popping all over the place and just roundhouse kicking dudes in midair and throwing guys into walls, and they're shooting at him and can't him. And yeah, there's even those cool kind of, once he gets in the room, that like kind of circular slow motion shot where he's just popping and reappearing and reappearing and reappearing and hitting the stuff.
Almost like a probably sort of, but like a Quicksilver thing. We're like, yeah.
No, and that's what I mean. Like, I could imagine. I mean, Bryan Singer obviously would do something similar with Days of Future Past with Quicksilver, and I could see him kind of going back to this and doing something similar with kind of the super slow motion of everything. And I like the little puffs of smoke that he kind of leaves everywhere. There's the one in the hallway where guys are getting like sucked into it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty not like scary scene, but kind of horrifying, just going like, oh my God, who the hell is this? If you don't know who Nightcrawler is, this dude's pretty damn powerful for what he can do. And, but he fails ultimately, but sends his message. But yeah, what do you think of this opening going back to it? It's pretty cool.
I mean, it's, if you don't know who Nightcrawler, it's sort of an emphatic way to introduce the character. Like, having it, the first scene of our character trying to basically kill the president is a very memorable way to introduce a character. And he's pretty. I think coming like aesthetically it suited the character. But yeah, if you don't know who he is, he's kind of like he looks like pretty intimidating, pretty creepy. He looks like a kind of a I don't know, like someone
got a devil creature or something.
Or someone tried to copy like Mystique in a lab and kind of
right.
messed up somewhere. But it was really cool. It's a really it gets you right into the movie. It's a great opening sequence. Yeah.
No, for sure. It definitely like raises the stakes, like you said, with the president thing, like right off the bat, like wondering what the hell's going on. Yeah, who's attacking him and why. And yeah, just a little note, like I said, I'll try to work in the kind of trivia bits here. Alan Cumming was originally kind of unavailable, and he became available because there was a delay in production, but they originally casted Ethan Embry in the role, and he actually got the role, and they were going to use him, but then Alan Cumming became available because there was a slight delay in filming, and then his schedule opened up and they got him back. So we almost had an Ethan Embry Nightcrawler here.
That's for him. Actually, the guy we originally wanted is available now. So bye.
Bye. Sorry about that. Maybe we'll use you for something next time. Yeah. His makeup when he's wearing his full clothes, when he has clothes on, is 4 hours for the face, essentially the hands, things like that. And then for the one scene where he's laying down without the shirt on for like the more full body thing, it was 9 hours. So 9 hours in the makeup chair.
Oh yeah, man.
But yeah, for even 4 hours just for the facial stuff. And it was no wonder when he's been asked why he didn't come back, he was like, no, the makeup was a pain in the ass. I didn't want to do that anymore. That seems to be a common theme with like Jennifer Lawrence and the Mystique makeup for First Class. They're just like, yeah, it's just a pain in the ass to sit in the makeup chair for 5-6 hours every day.
Like I have like ADHD, right? I barely like can stay. Like I have a hard time staying for like 2.5 hours for like tournament fights. I would kind of imagine like sitting in a makeup like at one chair for like 9 hours. Screw that.
No, that's insane. Yeah, that's your entire day, and you just have to be still for the whole time. Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, so but it looks great. Hey, I mean, kudos to him. I like the practical makeup; it works. But yeah, it kind of kicks off this plot. We get a new character. We get Brian Cox as Stryker, who's awesome in this movie. I forgot how great he is here.
I feel like I think Brian Cox is getting sort of appreciated now because of like Succession, but like Brian Cox has been underappreciated for a long time. He's great. He is great in this movie. He's fantastic.
Yeah, no, he's super like kind of chilling and just cold and creepy and just like methodical. And you almost feel like even though he's human, he doesn't have any powers. He's not a mutant. Like you feel like he kind of has the upper hand on everybody. Like he's done this research and he knows like how to deal with everybody. He's got that like calculated sort of one step ahead thing to everybody, which is pretty cool. Yeah, no, I think he's great. And apparently Singer just casted him because he remembered how great he was in Manhunter as Hannibal Lecter before Anthony Hopkins was, and was like, hey, I just want to get that guy because I like him. And I think he's gonna be kind of cold and chilling, and it works. So we're not going to give Singer too much kudos for his toxic sets, which we'll talk about later, but which Halle Berry and Alan Cumming have talked about on record, but at least kudos for the casting of Brian Cox, because he's awesome and he's a great, and he had way more screen time actually than I remembered. He pops up a lot throughout the movie.
When I first saw him, I thought he was just going to be like I didn't realize, I forgot he was like the main dude. The main villain.
Like basically the main villain, yeah. I mean, it's interesting to have a X-Men movie without like a mutant main villain, you know what I mean? Like it's like, yes, Lady Deathstrike is there as well. We'll talk about Kelly Hu, but she's just kind of the henchman, the bodyguard sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, because Magneto is not necessarily the villain, although he has kind of a villain turn, right near the end, but he's not the primary villain. And, it's a good way to kind of transition into talking about what Magneto's up to, because he was apprehended at the end of the first movie, and he's in the awesome, I just love the plastic jail bubble that he's in. Yeah, it's so great. I love this, just the look of it, with like the extended, kind of plastic tunnel, going out to this like, just this giant sort of dome. It almost looks like the Cerebro Dome, just kind of like this big open space, just with this little, plastic prison right in the middle of it. And yeah, what a great concept. Even just the little details, the guard that has like a plastic nightstick and, just everything's plastic. I love all that stuff, it's great. No, I was gonna say, anything to say about that just for us before?
No, I think you covered it. It's just a cool set. I think that would have been cool to be on that set. I'd love to be on that set just to see how they kind of sort of constructed it, I guess.
Just all these like clear plastic tables. They got the chess set that's just all these like hard plastic pieces, just everything, the plastic trays, everything. I mean they go back to that a little bit in Days of Future Past, but when he's in the underground thing, in the Pentagon, but it's not quite the same. It's still cool in concept, but I think I prefer this one where it's just this isolated island of a prison. It's pretty damn cool. But yeah, I mean he's in there kind of locked up, but obviously he has a sequence later that we'll get to with the actual escape, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean he ends up giving us some information to Stryker, and Stryker ends up conducting this raid, and it's kind of one of the big set pieces of the film, this raid on Xavier's school, while Xavier and Cyclops is pretty useless in this movie. I gotta say again, I feel like James Marsden is kind of criminally underused in all three of these movies. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah, like so in the series, animated series, Cyclops is one of my favorite characters. I love Cyclops. I think I had like toys of Cyclops, and in the movies, he's just there.
Yeah. Well, he did have a few more sequences as far as when Stryker first, like after he captures Xavier, and they mention Scott, and they're like, oh, he's being like re-educated or something. They had scenes with that where he was being like manipulated and tortured and all that kind of stuff. Like he had more screen time leading up to him fighting Jean a little bit, but all that was just deleted for time. So yeah, it makes it seem like he has even way less screen time than he even actually does here. Because I mean, what does he do? He just kind of walks with Charles everywhere. Yeah, he gets a brief fight, once things start to go down. He zaps, Deathstrike and a couple people real quick, and then gets his ass kicked immediately.
And then mopes about like Jean and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the moping about Jean is his whole last act and also the first act of The Last Stand, if you remember, because he's like, he's got the scraggly beard growing out, and he's like, I'm gonna go find Jean, and then he goes and finds Jean, and he dies immediately, and it's like, oh my god, wow, you
really Singer, whoever didn't rate Cyclops that much.
That's one of your favorite characters. Yeah, definitely not one of his favorite characters, because I feel like the focus is way more on obviously Jean, and then I would say Wolverine are probably the primary two focuses of the movie, as far as the mutants go. Because even Halle Berry doesn't have a lot to do in this movie. She's kind of just tagging along.
And she has even less to do in Last Stand. She's just
no, I mean she's just kind of there. I mean she uses her powers, a couple of fun sequences here and there, but she's kind of just either tagging along with Jean or just kind of there with the team. I mean Xavier's got his own little subplot going with the Jason character, so that's fine. He's got enough to do, but I feel like even Pyro is like more of an important character than Storm and some of them in a way.
I guess Rogue gets a little bit, but like not a lot. She gets more at the start, and then
she gets a lot of screen time in the first 45 minutes. I think leading up to, I guess, the house sequence, when they're at Iceman's house, and then after that, it's like, we don't have anything else for you to do in the movie. You're just gonna hang out. You're gonna fly the Blackbird in for 2 seconds at the end, and that's all we have for you. So, we'll let you know if we need you anymore. So because she has the little thing. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic as far as her and Bobby, the fact that they have this relationship and they can't, touch each other, obviously, because of what she can do. And they play around with that in a little bit. But then I think as far as after the scenes are done, it's like, all right, we got nothing else for you. You kind of had your moment last movie, and we're moving on. So, and we're gonna, and the next movie we're gonna focus more on Kitty Pryde than you. So,
Good luck at Paquin. Hopefully,
Oh yeah, you did okay with True Blood, so you're all right.
Maybe there's a vampire. I hear there's a vampire show. So they're looking for somebody. Maybe you'll get that.
Yeah, that ran for what, like 6 or 7 seasons. She was fine. She did all right.
Not to spoil, you might see that on an upcoming TV tournament.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I caught like the first 2 or 3 seasons of that, and then I kind of fell off. But I have seen a decent amount of True Blood. So I mean, we get all those kind of little scenes leading up to essentially the raid is the next big sequence in the movie. And again, it's kind of I like the way it's shot as far as at night. It's got the guys with the night vision. It's kind of scary, at least from the kids' perspective. These guys just invading this house, and the way it's kind of gives, this is the primary scene where we really get to see Wolverine, cut loose and go almost like full berserker in this one and go on the hunt, and it's a lot of fun.
Full berserker Wolverine is Imperial Wolverine. That's sort of I like this raid scene. I like the way it was shot. Pretty much covered it. But that's this is sort of where it all gets going. This is the big kind of kickoff sequence where everybody I saw comparisons when Singer was making it to Empire Strikes Back, and this is where kind of like the team sort of breaks apart for a little while because we get Jean and Storm are doing their little adventure hunting down Nightcrawler. Charles and Scott are do the thing in the jail with Magneto, and they get caught by Stryker. And then we've got Logan and Bobby and Pyro and Rogue all kind of on their own little adventure on the 7th thing. So it's very Empire as far as like the little 3 kind of storylines going on, with the groups, and then bringing everybody together at the Alkali Lake at the end. But the sequence is a ton of fun, and apparently I also read this was the sequence where it was a little more violent initially, and they had to cut it down from an R rating because there was a little more blood. There was a little more, just a few more
different shots of him just, I mean, because he full on stabs a bunch of dudes pretty hardcore in this one. I mean, the one guy in the kitchen, I mean, he flips him around and just straight double fists him right in the chest, with the claws. And yeah, he's stabbing dudes left and right. He's jumping off of balconies, stabbing dudes in the back. I mean, he has no qualms about killing these SWAT guys or whatever they are. I mean, it's like oh well, but hey, he ain't Batman. Wolverine can kill. We're okay with it.
Yeah, I was about to mention the Batman comparison. He's not afraid to kill. Yeah.
No, he doesn't care. You mess with him, he's gonna whip out those claws and slice and dice you. So, like I said, we get a couple little quick cameos. We got the Colossus thing, which was a fun tease. At least he would get a little more to do in the next movie, but it was still kind of fun to see. What I like about these X-Men movies is you get little glimpses of some of the other characters. You get the one girl who can scream, and she's making everybody crazy when she starts screaming, kind of distracting everybody. You do get a shot of Kitty Pryde running through the walls, which is it's a different actress, obviously.
It's not Elliot
Page. Yeah, it's somebody else they cast. It's the same with later on we get that bit on TV with Hank McCoy with Beast, and it's non-Kelsey Grammer Hank McCoy. Before they officially casted him, you get another bloke playing Beast right there. And Richie, we were supposed to have a quick glimpse and cameo of Gambit that was deleted from the movie because if you there's this sequence where Mystique is going through that computer and there's all those names on the screen. Remy LeBeau is on there. And then they actually, during the sequence at the end where Charles is hooked into everybody and making all the mutants crazy, trying to kill them and whatnot, they were supposed to flash to both Hank McCoy, having the freak out, and Gambit at a poker game, but just from the back, freaking out, and it was charging up all of his powers, while he was doing it. So they were supposed to have that. It was filmed but not shown.
I feel like Gambit can't catch a break in terms of in the realm of cinema. It's just not meant to be put in a live action movie, apparently. Because the whole Channing Tatum fiasco and
and actually, and coming off of. There was rumors of it coming off of 21 Jump Street and stuff when everybody kind of got back high on the Channing Tatum train, and we were all like, oh, you know what? He could probably make a good Gambit. He could pull it off, and I still think he could pull it off. If he had been cast, I think he would have been great, actually. But yeah, I mean, we got the little bit of Taylor Kitsch, our boy that was hot for 3 years in the X-Men Origins movie, but it doesn't really go anywhere. You get the one sequence and that's it. I agree with you. I don't think Gambit, for whatever reason, I don't know. They just couldn't figure it out for live action, but I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to do a live action version. He'd be a pretty cool character if they could pull it off. Now, that's why I'm wondering, could we get a glimpse of a Gambit in this Deadpool and Wolverine movie in these alternate universes? Played by somebody.
I think you'd think so, or that I think that you would try to do something different and introduce Gambit that way. I think they would. I think it's, I wouldn't say safe bet, but I would say there's more likely to happen than not.
Yeah, I think we failed miserably when we tried to guess all those Doctor Strange cameos we thought would happen in that Multiverse of Madness movie, and then we were just sorely disappointed in everything we got. I'm not getting my hopes up as far as oh, I hope there's this cameo and that. It's whatever they have. I'll just be happy to see whatever they show me. But so I'm not gonna make that mistake again. But I think it'd be cool if we at least got some kind of version of a Gambit at some point, in a live action.
I feel like we're meant to get a lot of those sort of just standalone origin movies, because the title X-Men Origins Wolverine kind of implies the existence of X-Men Origins Storm, X-Men Origins.
Well, they were supposed to do a Magneto movie was next up, so we actually would have gotten the younger version earlier, but I think what ended up happening is that kind of just morphed into the First Class thing, and I think that's a better version of it anyways with Michael Fassbender. So I think it would have been a little weird how we had some Magneto movie with somebody else and then the First Class thing with another person, or whatever it would have been. So it was supposed to be the start of I think they were supposed to do a Magneto movie, maybe even a Charles Xavier type of thing, but that might have just turned into like, well, why don't we just do a First Class, just sort of general prequel, you know? And hey, it worked out great. That's my favorite X-Men movie. So maybe we'll talk about it on Will and Movie someday, because that's definitely on my list.
It'd be funny if we spun it next.
I know. No, we'll see. But no, it'd be fun to talk about. But yeah, getting back to this movie. So yeah, I mean that's the plot, kind of the plot A kickoff. Yeah, the plot B is the obviously the breakout sequence with Magneto, and you get that little setup where Mystique injects the dude with the extra iron in his blood, and it's actually a pretty horrifying sequence when Magneto sucks the iron out of that dude. Like, it's kind of horrifying, and like his shirt starts like getting covered with blood, and like all the stuff like coming out of his pores. Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. But yeah, and it just I just think it's cool because it shows how powerful he can be with, you know, a ball size of metal, you know, like how just with that he could damn near take over the world. I feel like, you know, because yeah, he turns into like 3 little marbles and just completely decimates the entire facility just with that, and it's all over the place. But yeah, it's a pretty damn cool sequence.
Yeah, and so is it around here? Is this like around the time where like she's at the? Is that when it says like she pretends to seduce that dude at the bar, like the
well, that's the setup for it. Yeah, she turns into Rebecca Romaine version. Yeah, and then the security guard. Yeah,
this is the emphasis of my my name here, the marry me Rebecca Romaine, because like she is so fun. She is so hot at this moment.
Now she's hot here, but I'll tell you what, man, I got a thing for Famke Janssen in this specific movie, and like something about her hair and her look in this movie. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. She looks really, really good. No, don't get me wrong. I think Mystique is super sexy too, and Rebecca Romaine is great, but man, I gotta think for Famke Janssen in this movie. She is she's smoking in this movie. So
she's definitely But
no, but yeah, so we get that cool breakout sequence again. That still works. It was really, really great. And then Charles is in custody of Stryker. You get this character of Jason, his son, who's his power is doing illusions. Like it's a very vague like mind power, but he can, you know, make you believe you're in some alternate scenario. Although Stryker says something where the kid was messing with them, like him and his wife, and his wife to stop all the illusions took a power drill to her head. I was like, that's crazy.
Wow. That seems like a very extreme reaction to.
Yeah. Well, well, again, I could at least understand then why Stryker is so anti-mutant. You know what I mean? Even if it's his own kid, about what, you know, how powerful they are and what he could do. So again, he's a great villain because at least I understand his motivations in this movie. You know?
Like, a villain like is usually someone who has, you can understand where they're coming from, but they usually take things they take
it too far.
To extremes. And so you don't want a villain just be evil for evil's sake, like I'm a bad guy because I'm bad and this script needs me to be bad.
No, he feels like mutation is bad for humanity, essentially, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, he wants to just eradicate mutation, you know, altogether and get rid of it. But he has a personal connection to it. So yeah, I get it. He just is taking it way too far, you know, and just ready to kill every mutant on Earth, you know, no matter how innocent they may be. No, let's just wipe them all out and get rid of the whole problem. So he's going to take it to the extreme. But no, I mean, it works, and it's a nice way to kind of set up stakes. We get a little bit of Jean and Storm going after Nightcrawler and kind of catching him and realizing that he was just kind of set up and made to do it. They say that thing they keep dropping in the back of their heads, like it just makes it be kind of in a dreamlike state where they're just doing actions but they can't control themselves, you know, and whatnot, because we get a little bit of that with Scott later, and we get that with Nightcrawler. But I mean, and then I think the next kind of big sequence is the once Wolverine and the gang are at Iceman's house. The police get called, and we have this kind of little showdown with the cops and whatnot. We do get the cool moment where Wolverine gets shot in the head and he goes down, but comes back, you know, a few minutes later. That's always fun. Spits it out.
and Pyro goes off. It's like, I'm not. What was that?
I'm the one he's like, I'm the, the mutants they warn you about. Like, I'm the worst one.
I'm the worst one, which I don't know if he is, but for the sake of
it's more just, of course, to set up the fact that he's going to become a villain, and
because he's a villain. He's a villain at the end.
No, it's the shades of that. Again, you see where he's coming from, but he's taking it too far by literally setting him on fire.
He just blows him to he just blows all the cops away. It's like, holy shit. And that was cool.
So much so that apparently the local cops in Boston called the military and sent some jets after the Blackbird. Like, they literally call, like, no, go get your fighter jets and chase after these people. They just murdered a whole bunch of cops. So, which I think they do that silly thing they do in movies, Richie, that's kind of tropey. I don't like it, where I think some of them end up being okay, but they've got, like, soot on their face, like black soot, like a cartoon thing,
like maybe that there's that scene in
Jingle All the Way.
It was comedy, but there's the Jingle All the Way where he's got that
it just blows up in his face and just makes it black.
Open your face, your fucking limbs would be anyway.
I feel like if that dude blew an entire fireball into you, that so much so that it knocked you off the front porch, you'd be suffering from 3rd-degree burns pretty quickly.
Yeah, dude, you'd be like, your skin would be dangling off your head.
Yeah, you might survive, but you'd be in rough shape.
Sure. And then I think after that, it's like Wolverine Wolverine hot wires a car just by going.
Oh, that's before they get there. Yeah, he's like, it's Scott's car, so he's like, oh, okay, cool. Just totally tear up the transmission. He doesn't care.
Apparently, he can do it.
Just shove it in there. That works. Whatever. It's a movie. I can go with that. And then everybody kind of sort of reunites this Alkali Lake, and we get a little bit of actually the kind of thing I like in movies sometimes is when the villain sort of has to team up with the heroes, because there's a bigger threat, to humanity. I always kind of like that, just because it never obviously works in the long run, but I at least kind of like it as a concept with all these people working together.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right. It's the I like to think the best example is Alien versus Predator, of course. Where they literally say the line. Say it out loud. No, but it's cool because you get to see Magneto kind of working with them together again. It's a pretty baller move when he just straight up stops the Blackbird in midair and just kind of holding it, and just as they're crashing. That's pretty baller. He's the man. He's pretty gangster in this movie. But I mean, you get sort of that weirdly creepy sequence where Mystique comes into Wolverine's tent, and at first is Jean Grey, and then kind of turns back into herself, and she's like, I know what you really want. She turns into Rogue. That's weird.
I would hate to be in a world. I always hate to be in a world where Mystique exists, because even if you're because Mystique could because she could turn to anybody. I don't know. That could just be. You could use that to what you could think it could be hooking up with one person, and then I don't know. It's so, there's a lot of scenarios that could play out that would be really disturbing.
Yeah. Well, then just from a logical perspective, as a hero team, you'd constantly be wondering and being paranoid if she's pretending to be somebody in the house, and spying on you. Because I mean, she's the first part of the movie we failed to mention, she's pretending to be that one senator who died in the first movie. The Senator Kelly guy, who melted down, and that was just always a disturbing scene. That first one when he turns into that water puddle and just washes away.
It evaporates into a bloody puddle.
Yeah, I was like, that's disturbing. that's nuts. But she's pretending to be him to kind of get some inside stuff. That's always fun. But how she kind of pretends to be Logan to walk in the facility, and then I love that again. Brian Cox is a step ahead of the game. He gets one look at her as Logan. It's just yeah, no, that's not him. Shoot him, and he's just I know my work, and or that's not his attitude. That's not how he would act, or whatever. I like that. He's a smart villain. I appreciate that he's intelligent. He's not a dunce. He has that moment that I also appreciate when he realizes that she's in there, where it's I'm gonna leave now. Shoot anybody that comes back, even if it's me. You know, just because you don't know where she's running around, and she could be anybody. So again, he's a step of the head. I like that. He mostly kind of. I mean, he doesn't succeed ultimately, but like he's winning for most of the movie. Like he does a pretty good job. He's not a dummy. He even succeeds in starting the process with Charles under the kind of hypnosis of killing all the mutants and whatnot, and they flip it because Magneto, that son of a bitch, he'll be a hero until he doesn't have to be anymore. And then when again, a great villain in that you understand where he's coming from, but he just takes it one notch too far where he's just like, yeah, let's just kill all the humans. Why not? Let's just flip it around.
Yeah, he's only a hero when it benefits him. And then,
No, we get I was saying something about Brian Cox, but I know what I was gonna say. So the one thing that like I got sidetracked on just thinking about the movie is that whole sequence where Charles is screwing up everybody, right? And they basically all kind of drop to the floor and they're all grabbing their head, and they can't do anything else while they're being killed essentially during this process, right?
Yeah.
So they do this to both mutants and humans. So essentially everybody on Earth, right? So this is a global event. So that would cause mass destruction all over the Earth, like that we never see any of. And that kind of like bothered me a little bit this time because not only, let's just take it at a ground level, right? So you do that with however many millions and millions of people are driving at the time. So immediately everybody is having accidents, or running into poles or running into walls or running into other people, hitting people on the sidewalk, whatever, right? So, massive accidents.
There's people who are pilots.
So. That's what I mean. Pilots and planes. So the plane would definitely go down and crash, right? Because it lasts a couple of minutes. So nobody's piloting the plane unless they're on autopilot, I guess. Maybe it would save them. But if they're not, God help you if you're not. You got.
Statistically speaking, there will also be at that time, more than likely there'll be planes trying to take off. So that would screw them up.
Well, just people operating important equipment and warehouses and facilities. People operating construction equipment, heavy machinery, important maybe computer functions that keep us going, important data things that keep everything going. I don't know. I went down this rabbit hole thinking about everything that it would potentially screw up, and I would imagine it actually probably would cause massive casualties all around the world. Just thinking through, like, even just car accidents alone would cause thousands and thousands of people to die. I mean, because you got to figure people are on bridges, people, even just on busy highways going very, very fast, insane amounts of damage. So.
And then pedestrians were walking across the street.
No, just if anybody's somewhere high and they just fall down, anyway, whatever. I went down this rabbit hole thinking about that. So I know it's a movie. I'm not supposed to think too hard about it, but I started thinking about that and it bugged me for a minute. That's all. If it was one thing if it was just target all the X-Men in the immediate vicinity or something like that, that'd be one thing. But it's
they had that realization that it's targeting people as well. So then it's like
that's what I mean. Yeah, and then you see it through the Cerebro thing. People grabbing their heads and screaming and all that, and you see a little bit of the president and some of the other people kind of wailing as well. A little bit of Brian Cox, out by the helicopter. But I mean it's good stuff. You get a few little mini fights. We should talk about Kelly Hu, and her little fight against Logan as Lady Deathstrike, which again was a cool concept of sort of a female Wolverine, just with the fingers, the finger claws, which was fun.
They get like a mini, almost like a pretty Kruger kind of claw things. It was a cool fight scene. I didn't, I missed it. I haven't seen Kelly Hu in a movie in ages, but I was like, that was an awesome fight scene. She reminded me of I don't know, maybe like a close modern example. It reminded me almost like a Sophia Botello from like a Kingsman sort of.
I can see that.
But that was a really cool fight scene. And then enjoyed it. I just wish she had more I guess more of a role in this film, I guess. But yeah, no, it was a good fight.
She literally only has one line in the movie, just one. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty silent, role. And I remember if you go back and see her, she's actually in the 8th Friday the 13th movie. She's in Jason Takes Manhattan. So, going into my theory that everybody starts in horror, she gets killed by Jason. She's the one who just gets strangled in the club thing on the boat. She's in there. She's in Surf Ninjas, the movie I love. She's in there. But apparently lately she's just been doing TV and then just a lot of voiceover work for cartoons, actually. So she's kind of just a voiceover actress for the most part. She's also the face of Viagra. So there you go. For commercials. You know what? You could do worse as the face of Viagra.
You do worse. She's still probably hot. So yeah, that's all right.
And she plays a lot of poker. She's in a lot of those celebrity poker tournaments.
Yeah. So there you go. Her and Jennifer Tilly and
well, and she is speaking of the Deadpool and Wolverine thing you set up. This is, I guess, a spoiler for the trailer. If you haven't watched the trailer, if you're avoiding the marketing, but the sequence where you see the giant Ant-Man skull and the Ant-Man head, there are a couple of mutants standing out front, including Deathstrike. Kelly Hu is in front there, including Pyro from this movie, including Azazel from First Class. So we will see some cameos from maybe some of these mutants that we've seen in these past movies kind of popping up again in that movie.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. But I saw her there. I'm like, I remember seeing her quite a lot popping up in like this time period. I haven't seen her around. So yeah, it just made me think.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I'd like to see more. What was? Oh, she was in the Scorpion King, right, with The Rock.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's the main girl in that one. So she was, 2000. She was kind of all over the place, and then like I said, maybe she just one of those things where they just kind of moved on to other people. I guess I think they moved on to Lucy Liu. I think that's what happened.
Lucy Liu kind of worked with Charlie's, Charlie's Angels and stuff like that. So yeah, no, Lucy Liu's our thing. Person now, and now it's
Oh well, hey, she does a lot of conventions though, so she makes appearances and stuff. Good for her.
She makes a career. She makes money.
And she's got comic book clout because her scene as Deathstrike is pretty cool. That fight is a lot of fun. Especially the way because you wonder like how the hell is one going to beat the other when they both can regenerate, when they both have the adamantium, and he just pumps her full of adamantium right in the gut. And I do like the shot of her like kind of she's like bleeding the adamantium like out of her tear ducts, like that's pretty cool, out of her nose. That was kind of gangster actually. And then she's in the tank and she just drops like a rock, like they have that thud noise, when she thump, when she just hits. So that's a cool sequence. And then we kind of come to a culmination where they're able to kind of take down Stryker, and Wolverine has a moment where he may or may not want to go with him to kind of figure out his past, but decides to kind of figure it out on his own. And then we get sort of the climax of the plot line that we haven't really been talking about much, but the Phoenix plot line that they've been, Jean's been having these visions and she's kind of having her powers a little wonky, but she's having bursts of really strong power. And Richie, that's another thing where they just can't seem to get the Phoenix storyline right in these movies either, because they've had 2 attempts at it in live action and both of them didn't really work out too well.
No, maybe they'll have another crack at it when they inevitably reboot the X-Men, but maybe they'll stay clear of it. I don't know.
I think they should just steer clear of it, just because, they tried, obviously, the setup here is cool. Like, the little tease at the end with the one in the water, it's a cool tease and cliffhanger. But ultimately, again, you get to the Last Stand and it's like they almost forget about that storyline. Like she's doing it, but the Cure storyline is like the main plot, and then hers is like the subplot.
It's almost like was it like Guardians 3 with a warlord? Was it
Adam Warlock?
Yeah. Adam Warlock's like, oh yeah, that's right. We did tease that. Go,
right, we'll do it real quick.
Go on here.
No, in that next one, it's like she has the opening thing with Scott, and then she just is kind of standing behind Magneto for most of the movie, if you remember, just like at his meetings, and she's just got her hair out longer and just looking a little veinier, and like she has her bursts of power, but that's really about it until the end. She just kind of stands there for most of the movie, and I feel bad because it's like I don't know if they just didn't feel like it could be a viable storyline, or they didn't want to totally turn her super villain, or I don't know what it was.
Or the studio note going, hey, we don't want that.
They
I've
just
already
didn't pay it off because you get into that movie and it's this whole plot about this cure and the other kid and like all these needles. Yeah, it's just, and it doesn't really. The Phoenix thing just kind of goes out with a thud, and just doesn't do much. And then obviously, Dark Phoenix, they tried to do it again, with the other cast, and just that movie just didn't turn out very well. So it just doesn't work again. And I feel bad for it because they did it well in the animated series. It was like a 4-part or 5-part thing in the animated show or something like that, or almost like a full storyline. Yeah, it was like a long storyline on the animated series, and they tried to do it justice, but they just can't seem to get that right either in these movies.
No.
But she kind of sacrifices herself. And it sort of starts turning into the Phoenix. So everybody's kind of in mourning again. Scott just has sad face most of the time. We hardly ever see him smile in these movies. He's always kind of moping around and a little depressed and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, and that kind of wraps up the movie. That's kind of most of the tease that she's out there somewhere doing her thing. And a couple little subplots that are kind of left hanging, a little more of Logan's backstory is kind of thrown down. I like the little flashbacks they do with him kind of going crazy, coming out of the pool. They would do that a little bit more in the Origins movie, but I like the little flashbacks we get here.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, and you see, I think there's. Yeah, I like the flashbacks there, and I guess I wish the Origins movie came out better because I like the whole flashback with the pool thing, it's they're good teasers. I just wish, obviously, what they talk about, I wish they had amounted to, more, things in actuality, but it is what it is. We still got a really good movie out of it. And
Singer went off to do Superman Returns, which is a very boring Superman movie, in my opinion.
And it was, you'd think, Brendan Routh, it was supposed to kind of like, cool, a launching pad for his career, and it kind of did anything but do that.
He had another thing where he had a couple little minor roles, and that Dylan Dog movie didn't really go anywhere.
That's got Kurt Angle in it.
Yeah, right. That's another guy I feel bad for. I mean, it's a thing where I think the fans, like him. He does a lot of appearances. Apparently, he's a really nice guy, and they've at least brought him back for some of that CW stuff to play Superman again. On there as his versions of Earth Superman. So I mean, at least he's gotten a chance to kind of, pay it off a little bit. But
and he's in the SQ universe, kind of, with the like Justin, He's Justin.
Right. Justin Long's boyfriend. Man toy. Yeah, no, that's fun. But I mean, so he went off to do that. We got Brett Ratner from the Rush Hour movies to do the third X-Men movie instead. And again, I think there's good like action sequences and like there's good character stuff, in that movie and whatnot. It's just kind of scatterbrained, sort of all over the place. Again, not that it's boring. Like I can totally put on that movie and just kind of scroll my phone, look up, oh, here's a fun sequence. Here's the sequence where they, break out Juggernaut and all the people out of the truck convoy. That's fun. Here's the mutant meeting with Magneto where he's kind of recruiting everybody. That's fun. Like there's good stuff there. The actual Xavier death is pretty good. There's good stuff in it. I just feel like it's very scatterbrained and kind of all over the place. And they sort of lost focus of the main story or tried to also cram in way too many characters, in that third movie.
Yeah. That's it.
Hey, let's get Angel in the opening scene and then not use him for the entire movie. And he just flies in for one save at the end, and that's it.
Yeah. So you can just be like, oh, remember that? I know that character from that. Like, all right, cool. Hey,
a young Ben Foster before he was famous.
Yeah.
I mean, we give Colossus more to do. I mean, one of the better things that came out of that obviously was Kelsey Grammer as Beast. Like that was perfect casting, like just spot on. Yeah. Great casting, and he's great, and he does the best of it with his material. But yeah, I feel like that movie just kind of like totally watchable, but not a great. And you can see why they kind of just went to the prequel route and did the First Class stuff. And I'm glad they did because Matthew Vaughn knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, with First Class. And kicked off a really great. And that's hard to do, Richie. I mean, if we ever do First Class, we'll talk about it. But I mean, filling the shoes of Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart and some of these actors, that's tough.
McAvoy and and Fassbender do a really good job. So
No, they kill it, and I almost prefer Fassbender even to like Ian McKellen. I think he's awesome in those movies. Like he's amazing. So, but yeah, so that'll kind of wrap it up. We'll get our final thoughts kind of on this movie, and maybe where you would rank it in the overall kind of pantheon of X-Men movies too, Richie, if you had to think about it. But think about it for a second. But give me what are your kind of like overall thoughts on the movie, kind of in general, and did it kind of hold up for you?
Yeah, I think the movie held up for me. I think the story is engaging. I think it's like it's really well done. I think Brian Cox kills the movie. For me, he's a great villain. I like obviously the I like that Wolverine's got more to do, and you can kind of I think Hugh Jackman really establishes himself as a great Wolverine. I guess maybe the only sort of negatives I have, they're very minor, but just like sort of certain characters not being used to their potential. Like talk about Cyclops,
Rogue after the first act to a degree, yeah.
So but they're minor things. So, but in the sort of, but in the grand pantheon of things, I probably because your First Class is my favorite one as well, and then probably goes.
I go First Class, Days of Future Past, probably.
Just
because it's a great blend of both casts, which I like. Yeah.
I would say. I was thinking the same thing actually. First Class, Days of Future Past. I kind of put like Logan as a separate thing almost because it's like just a kind of like a.
It just doesn't. It doesn't like. It's a great movie. It just doesn't feel connected to any of the other movies. It feels like a multiverse movie or something. I don't know why. Like it just feels. Disconnected from everything else. And again, that's not a criticism of the movie. It just like if you were to watch all these movies in like order when they came out or whatever, it would feel like the odd movie out. You know what I mean? Of like it just doesn't. It doesn't feel like it connects to it. Yeah, it was like a whole separate movie.
That one. So maybe I'll put it like third behind Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I would probably go like third or fourth. I'd be interested to go back. I haven't gone back and rewatched Apocalypse in a while. I don't remember hating it. Like I remember it having some pretty cool stuff about it too. Maybe just again being kind of scattershot all over the place or whatever. Maybe Oscar Isaac being a little under. Hey, remember when Oscar Isaac was Apocalypse? People forgot about that. That was coming off of Star Wars. That was weird. I mean, I'd be interested to go back to that one because I love the Quicksilver sequence in that one. The Sweet Dream sequence is awesome. That sequence is one of my favorite sequences in any of the movies. But yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about the rest of the movie. I'd have to go back and see it again. And then Dark Phoenix I saw once in the theater and haven't gone back to. But I mean, I own it on Blu-ray because I'm a completionist asshole, so I own it. But I've never popped it in since then. And then but I think out of the original trilogy, obviously, I think this one's easily kind of the standout one, that is the most cohesive, has the best sort of plot lines and villain and whatnot, the most kind of going on, at least all the stuff that makes sense. And I would say this is the best of that, First Class, again, in my opinion. I know some people with Days of Future Past, which I understand, of that other kind of trilogy. But it's pretty high up there. It held up pretty well. I enjoyed my rewatch of this one. And Brian Cox, I think, was the thing I took away from it. I didn't remember him having as much screen time as he did. And he was great. Like every time he showed up. So I really, really enjoyed him. But no,
it's really good.
Yeah, no, sounds good. So we're a little over our hour mark, which is kind of what we do here on Wheel of Movies. So we'll start wrapping it up here for X2. We don't know what we'll be doing. Probably another 2-3 weeks, something like that. We'll figure out one of the nights. Me and Richie will jump back on here and do another movie. We'll spin the wheel like we did again with Jordan, kind of after another one of our shows or something like that. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. I told him, I said, listen, if we're under new management, we're gonna have one slightly different rule. If it's a movie that it's not at least interesting and I have something to talk about, I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to have a little discretion over what we do. And so he spun X2. I said, okay, cool. I'm interested in revisiting it. It's been a minute. And that is just, I remember being a good movie. So I'll talk about it. Even if it's a mediocre movie, if there's enough to talk about, like to discuss, there's enough going on, or if it's like a interesting mess or something like that, I can talk about it. But if it's something I just find boring or I'm just not interested in, I'm just not going to do it.
No disrespect to people who might have it on their list, but if it's like something that's like not really doesn't have a lot of meat to it as far as discussion. I was like, man, there's a lot more movies on the wheel that's got more fodder for conversation. So
Yeah, that's literally all it is. That's all I told him is like I just want something meaty to talk about for an hour. If it's some movie that I just know I can't talk about for an hour, I'm just gonna tell him to spin it again on the spot. So that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, we'll see. Hey, maybe you'll finally get to talk about Shopping Mall, Richie. It's on my 128, so maybe it'll pop up at some point.
It's still on Tubi, so I'll probably watch it again.
Yeah, exactly. It'll always be on. It'll live on Tubi for ages, forever. I feel like that movie's not going anywhere. It's on 8 other streaming services. I think you're okay. Yeah, maybe we'll get to talk about it eventually. It's on the wheel somewhere, so we could potentially talk about it somewhere. But yeah, so we'll wrap it up for tonight. Anything you want to plug? Any parting words? Anything like that?
No, you can just find me in all the trivia spaces. I'm always around. Yeah, tournament fights, tier ranker, Lonely Marks. Good coming up here tomorrow. Just recapping a great review Dynasty and going through WWE and wrestling, your wrestling news in general. Talking about maybe the latest roster cuts for WWE, and maybe talking a little bit. Maybe JPO might bring up a bit of TNA Rebellion in there. Certain significant title change to WWE that that's quite interesting. That we probably should talk about. And about that. And then tournament fights here, ranker, JPO's channel doing trivia. Why We Love Horror, got a match coming out soon. So check me out there.
No, cool. Yeah, no, I taped a Why We Love Horror match as well, a singles match that'll be out on Friday night, I believe, over on the Why We Love Horror channel, over on John Marsh channel. So yeah, I have a singles match going up. You can check it out. And yeah, I'll be on Lonely Marks as well, obviously. And then Jacob and I, once I get back from working a wrestling show, Richie, this weekend, I'll be back in my ref gear this weekend down in Florida, reffing my thing. If you happen to be in the Jacksonville area and you're watching this, you can come see me at USWA at the National Guard Armory Saturday night in Jacksonville. But I'll be back in time for Sunday night. Jacob and I will hit another podcast about movies, starting our anniversary series as we celebrate movies that are celebrating 50 years, 45 years, 40 years, etc. So we'll start with 50. 1974, we'll be doing Chinatown, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and a double dose of Mel Brooks with Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, which a lot of people forget came out the exact same year. So we're just going to talk about both of them and have a little fun with that. So that'll be a good time on Sunday night. And just hit that notification bell so you know every time we go live for stuff like this. But Richie, thanks for following me in this ride and our new era of Wheel of Movies. Hopefully it'll be fun, just chit-chatting it up about some movies that hopefully we like to talk about.
Yeah, no worries. Man. Should be
no, totally. So we'll wrap it up here for tonight. Thanks for everybody for tuning in live or tuning in on the replay. We appreciate it. This has been Wheel of Movies with your new host, Austin Pezhal, with Richie Goodacre, my new co-host. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time for another Wheel of Movies. Thanks.